Hello members, and welcome to the camera test. Not the most exciting thing, but I've been trying to solve several problems with my camera setup for quite a while. The majority of my videos last year were shot with this, the eMeet S600 Smart Cam, and as you can probably tell from my videos last year, they didn't exactly look great. White balance was terrible, and as a result, all the colors were terrible. And I mean, I did my best with this thing, but it just would not cooperate in any way whatsoever. So after abandoning that camera, I then switched to using what I use now, my old Samsung S21. I feel like that's looked way better. There's been a few problems with how I've been using it though. As I said in my setup video, I've been using a program called Iron, which streams the camera from the phone to the PC over USB or Wi-Fi. I've been using USB because that's a little bit more stable than my Wi-Fi connection. Problem with that is it's video over USB, which is not ideal. The other problem is Iron doesn't really let you configure your camera in any way, so it just kind of launched with whatever settings it wanted, and that's what it was. Now the default frame rate for the camera is 24 frames a second. This particular phone can go up to 60, but there was never any option for me to do that through Iron. Now I'm hoping it's noticeable, but this is at 30 frames a second, which is the maximum that this particular lens can do. And the way that I'm actually capturing it now is instead of going through USB and Iron, I am going from the phone to a USB hub that has HDMI out, and the HDMI is being piped into my capture card. But how am I getting my phone to actually output what the camera sees to HDMI? Well, thank you to Unorganized Account from YouTube, who led me on to the Blackmagic app. Blackmagic is a camera company, and they released an app for Android and iOS that allows you to have a little bit more control over the camera that's built into your phone. And within that app, there is a monitor section, and there is an HDMI out. And you can configure that to just be a clean video output of what your camera sees. This is really important because I don't record on my phone. I just use its camera and I record in OBS. And the reason why I do it that way is because I'm not very good at video editing. The normal way most other content creators do this is they record their video and they record their audio. But then you have to go in and sync your audio to your video. I absolutely hate doing that. So what I do is I have OBS record into MP4, and I have different audio tracks that capture my microphone and game capture when I'm doing that. And then when I take that footage and put it into Lightworks, I have a track for video, I have a track for my microphone, and I have a track for my game capture. Already pre-synced up, I don't have to do anything, I can just go in and start doing my cutting immediately. It saves me a load of time since I really don't know what I'm doing. Now I mentioned earlier that Iron seems to run everything at 24 frames a second because that's the default of this camera. And I also mentioned that now this is at 30 frames a second. Well, why don't I do 60? There's a bit of a problem with this particular phone and using 60 FPS. Here, let me get up and I will show you. So if I were to change the camera to be 60 FPS on this particular lens, it would just crash everything. The only lens it seems to work with is the ultra wide lens, which would look a little something like this. Oh, you can see my shame. I don't recommend energy drinks. I have a crippling addiction. Leave me alone. Now, obviously I can just zoom in so that way it's the same kind of shot, but in doing so, it adds a little bit more graininess to the overall footage. However, that does give me 60 FPS. But you can kind of see around my hands, the mouse pad, and up here you can really see it, a whole lot of noise because I have to now zoom in to actually have the shot that I want. Now I have to be very careful because if I don't change my frame rate before I change lenses, it crashes the entire app. Back to the regular wide, and there you can see it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot better looking. There's still a little bit a noise up here, but it's nowhere near as bad as it is with the ultra wide. So at least for the time being, 30 FPS will be the best I can do. And I don't know, at least to me, this already looks a lot smoother than what it was before. Also, now I can immediately sit down and start recording instead of waiting on Iron to catch up because for some reason it's very CPU intensive. And there is another app aside from Irion that does the same thing, and that's called Camo, but that seems to be even more CPU intensive. But at least that one actually lets you control your camera options. Someday it will be completely possible for me to have, you know, a normal wide angle lens like this and have 60 FPS. Technically it'd be possible for me to do that now, but then I'd be constantly taking my phone that I actually use every day in and out of this little holder up here. But who knows, whenever I upgrade to something else, then this can become my camera. And I've already done some testing. This can do 4K 60 with the wide angle lens. And it even looks a little bit nicer because it's an S24 and not an S21. So it's slightly better. Oh, one other problem that this new setup solves is whenever I'm testing a controller or something and I want to have me with the controller up here and gameplay footage here, I was having an issue with Irion where if I, bear with me, if I were to zoom in like this, oh, teaser for future video by the way, but if I were to zoom in like this, so that way it's a close-up of the actual thing that I'm testing instead of being the wide angle shot, then Irion would forget how brightness works sometimes, and it would just constantly super dim and then brighten all of a sudden, and I got really annoying because I had to cut around it so many times that way it wasn't noticeable in the video. But doing it this way through the Blackmagic app doesn't have this problem. I love this thing so much. It's a little silly that I have to stand up and pinch the screen to zoom in and out still, but you know, I'm doing the best with what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at kind of how my camera setup works, and maybe you can give me some ideas in the comments. Thank you members for supporting me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.